What's good? This is your boy CJ Goodfella. You know how we rock. Final thoughts. Luis Arias, taking on Danny Jacobs. They weighed in today. Let's get that out of the way real quick. Arias weighed in first. He came in at 160 pounds at the full limit. Then Danny Jacobs stepped on the scale, came in at 159.6. Sound like he said, I even ate breakfast this morning. I think that's what Danny Jacobs said. So both seem to be comfortable at the weigh-in, not look too drained. Hopefully no excuses tomorrow from either side. And I think this is going to be one of the best fights on TV. It's a lot of boxing on TV tomorrow. Also, Big Baby Miller, Jarrell Big Baby Miller, and Wak. Jarrell Big Baby Miller weighed in at 183 point something pounds. Wak weighed in at 268 pounds or something like that. So Big Baby Miller cut about 15 pounds from his last weight. I still think he got a long way to go. I think he need to get down about 15 to 20 more pounds. I like to see him at 265, 263, somewhere in there. Around the mid-260 range. But Wak was 268. He looks sloppy as hell, but body physique means nothing in boxing. But back to Arias and Jacobs and Arias. These going to be a good fight. You got Josh Taylor. I think it's probably one of the best, most talented junior welterweights fighting Miguel Vasquez, who never really loses, always gets robbed tomorrow. And a few other fights I believe that come on tomorrow. But this fight in particular, I think it's going to pretty much come down to can Arias cut the ring off on Danny Jacobs and use his skill. A lot of people were worried if Arias can take the punch of Danny Jacobs. Arias, first 15 fights I mentioned in the breakdown prediction video I did Monday. You can look that up in the archives for this fight. Fought his first 15 fights at 168 pounds. So he's been used to fighting bigger guys on the professional level, probably bigger punchers, stronger guys than Danny Jacobs. And I don't think he gets his credit for his boxing ability. He moves his head. He can box from range. He can box up close. I think most people know him for early in his career, banging it out up close. He's a good body puncher. Good jab. He's a well-schooled fighter, and you can tell he had a nice amateur background. And so does Danny Jacobs. Everybody is enamored with Danny Jacobs' hand speed and his athletic ability. But he has been down. He's known to have a weak chin as well, and he's known to move around the ring a lot. And he's not always that aggressive fighter, but that's always good to have in your back pocket to be able to come forward and then box if need be. So, he's a multi-dimensional fighter, and Arias is too, man, from the tape show. He can box and walk you into punches. He can come forward and bang it out. I've seen in the past. So this is going to be a very, very interesting fight. See who really, presses their style on the other opponent more. I think Jacobs is more effective protecting that chin and not banging it out with Arias. I think he needs to box to stay smart in this fight. And then when he feels Arias' energy level starting to drop or confidence level starting to drop, or if he starts hurting him, then going for the kill when you got the snake hurt, but be wary, and everybody looks at Arias knockouts. Remember one got for one of the first press conferences, said when he got like 12 knockouts. Sergio Moro only had 9 knockouts, and he was fighting middleweights and junior middleweights, I believe, his whole career. Arias is for more than the majority of his whole career almost. He's been fighting super middleweights. I think that's a lot of people underestimating that. He's used to fighting bigger, stronger guys. He's fought the best that the world has to offer as an amateur, over 170 amateur fights. So has Danny Jacobs, but Danny Jacobs has been stretched by Sean Porter in amateurs. He's been stretched by P-Rock in the pro. He's been dropped by Mora. And his career has been imprinted by Al Heyman maneuvering him the right way. He ain't fought the best competition. And I think the competition level gap, people really exaggerating in this fight. It may show that he's just a more elite and skilled fighter. And he's continuing to get better in this fight. It could show. But he hasn't fought the greatest resume like people are saying. Middleweight hasn't been the greatest resume. Even when Sergio Martinez took the belt from Kelly Pavlik, it's been pretty weak. He fought Caleb Truitt, Sergio Moro twice. Peter Quillen, who wasn't active anymore, and he lost to Triple G. So it is what it is. I think Arias is very confident, but you have to be worried about being too confident, because like Alantez Fox came in with Andrade, everything he was saying was right. He was very confident, and his confidence got broken the first second. So Arias has to press with or come into the fight wary of getting hit with something big early. got to work his way in, but not be too patient, not be too slow, because you got to remember he's the B-side here, and he's fighting in Jacobs, basically his home city in New York City. And he got to get to work, but be cautious about getting to work. I did pick Arias. I think I picked him by late knockout. I just have a hunch. I'm not saying that, I just got a hunch. I think Arias is going to show up and upset the apple cart. I could be wrong. I'm not standing on top of the Empire State Building saying that Jacobs is going to lose his fight. Wouldn't be shocked if Jacobs knocked him out early or knocked him out later, just won a decision or won a robbery. But I'm just got a hunch that Luis Arias is going to get this done. I don't sense false bravado coming from him. I sense somebody that's hungry. I sense somebody that want it. I sense somebody that has the style, has the corner to upset the apple cart. And Danny Jacobs hasn't blown out, a lot of his opponents like that, early on. So he fights tentative, but I'm taking Arias. But let me know what y'all think. We gonna.